Hello, everyone, and welcome to the strategy session. It is episode, I can't even remember. There's so many episodes that I gotta.
7.
Seven. All right,
7.
so we're three shows away from double digits. Uh, you know, I committed to going live and being less of a keyboard warrior, and now I got to keep track of all these episodes that I'm streaming. Welcome back, everyone. It's Marico with my co-host Kendra Noel, and today we have a special guest joining us. We have in on stage with us. Let's introduce Zakia Ringgold. Zakia, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks, Americo and Kendra. Thank you so much, both of you, for having me join. I'm so excited to be here with both of you and continue that amazing discussion you had on e-commerce.
Fantastic.
We're very glad to have you.
I can't begin to tell you it's great to bring someone who has real life examples, real life experience, who can share that with us. I know I speak heavily from a customer experience perspective, from a customer experience lens, a lot of theory and a lot of um, project work that I've been immersed in, but I've never owned a platform myself. I've helped by jumping in the weeds and helping business owners. Hey, here's what it looks like from a
Yeah.
customer lens. Here's what I'm recommending you do to kind of keep people in your funnel and avoid cart abandonment and so forth. And we'll jump into that maybe a little later in the show. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you got set up, what you got going? I know that you and I have been part of other audio events, but our audience might not know who you are. So let's share with our communities.
Oh,
Go ahead.
absolutely. So my name is Zakia Ringgold. I am an avid live streamer. I had no idea that I was going to be a business owner, but live streaming actually made that a reality for me in 2015. I would live stream on an app that was Periscope then, which was then purchased by Twitter and then quickly died off. But I had built a community by sharing my hobby of soap making. And I have to say that twice because people think I either say soup or soap, but anything but soap. And so I would live stream my hobby at the time, and my audience, also known as my community, were the ones who said, how can we buy that from you? And my e-commerce journey and full-time entrepreneurship journey started from that moment of hearing, hey, how can we buy that?
That is awesome. And listen, it's not easy. We were talking backstage before going live about the false promises that we succumb to when we're being promised, hey, set up an e-commerce store. You'll have money pouring in. It's a 4-hour work week. You jump in periodically, check check what transactions are being fulfilled, and you walk away.
Uh-huh.
Now, statistics and data suggests completely different. There's data that suggests up to 90% of e-commerce businesses fail for a variety of reasons. Most of the time, it's just lack of understanding the market. Someone might jump into a market that's saturated. Someone might jump into a market that they know nothing of just because it's trending. Hey, you know what? I'm going to get on this trend and try to monetize and make some money. And they fail, and some fail miserably. Um, Listen, it people encourage, you got to try, you got to step outside your comfort zone, but you also have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy, understand your competitive environment, understand your audience. It's not just a turnkey as many people make it or make it out to be. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't you agree, Kendra? I think that's very accurate.
Yeah, you definitely need some strategy going into it, and there's a lot of different platforms and tools and stuff that they give you, but you can have all the tools in the world if you don't know how to use them. It's not going to help you. Not to say that that should hold you back from doing it. It's nice that the tools are there, but putting some thought into how you're going to use those tools is important.
Yeah, and I would also add that tech isn't the goal, it's the tool. Back to what you said there. I didn't really start out very tech savvy. I learned just enough to apply it in my business, and then as I was teaching other people, um, it was building that bridge from one to the next. And I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed with these are all the bells and whistles that the platform can do. We get further and further away from where we actually want to be instead of just getting what we need for that moment and then saying phase two will be this or phase three will be that. So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that tech part.
Hey, let's put tech aside and let's add something else to it. I made a commitment and I kind of failed on my own commitment. I made that commitment that I would kick each of my lives with some level of storytelling. And the last time we spoke about e-commerce, I had an Amazon story. I purchased from a reseller, and they shipped out completely different product than what I had ordered, and I shared that story. Today, guess what? I have a new story, and it's
Okay.
another Amazon story. This one is, you know what? You can't really blame. Well, I'm sure. Yes, I can point fingers at someone doing some spring cleaning. The winter, I think, is for the most part behind us. The snow has melted, the ice has melted. But a few months back, I had placed an online order through a Amazon reseller. I claimed that I never received my package, and the reseller was adamant. No, we got proof that you signed for it. It's like, well, first of all, in Canada, nobody signs for Amazon packages. You just toss them on the porch. You take a picture, and I get an email notification. Go pick up your package. Well, as luck would have it, I never received an email, and I never received the package. And but they were adamant. Well, here's a PDF. Here's proof that we dropped it off. Couldn't open the PDF. They were giving me a hard time. The service, it wasn't the best experience. Well, listen, it's a $16 item. Why am I going to go out of my way to tell you I didn't receive it? Right? It's. I'm not trying to defraud you of $16. But nonetheless, okay. So fast track to some spring cleaning, doing some yard work, raking up some leaves, raking up some debris that the wind blows around. Guess what I find in the garden? My package.
Oh, no.
Got it got blown off the porch, got buried in snow, and we waited until the spring thaw, and there it was under some leaves, just waiting to be found. So
Wow.
that is my Amazon story. They did give me a refund uh, at the end of the day, and what I had ordered, I ended up repurchasing it. But problem is solved. That is today's e-commerce story brought to you by Americo da Costa.
Yeah. I had a similar issue with Uber Eats. Sometimes I'm at my mom's house and we'll order Uber Eats there. I didn't realize that I didn't update the address. So they're telling me, your order was delivered, your order was delivered. I said, well, look, just refund me. They refunded me. Maybe about 10 minutes later, my mom calls and says, did you order from Uber Eats? I said, so I had to call them, or you can't even call, it's just texting, and then they took the money back. So yeah, I've had that experience as well, Americo.
All right, that's fantastic. We all have stories, I'm sure, and we can spend hours sharing our stories. Let's get back on track. But before we do that, why don't we pause to say hello to some of our listeners
Oh,
who have
Terry
joined
is
us.
here.
I'm recognizing some new names, and I'm welcoming what I believe is Zakia's audience. So welcome everyone to our show. Happy to have you. Let us know where you're joining us from. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. If you'd like to join us on stage to ask questions, Zakia and Kendra, as well as myself, we're happy to have you join us, and we'll answer those questions.
Absolutely. I'm seeing a few people that I invited it as well. So thank you for joining. And I also see Marcia, who, if I remember right, is the person who asked for a round two of talking about e-commerce. So I'm
Yes,
happy to see her as well.
That is exactly who had asked for an encore presentation. I know that she has connected me with a few uh, friends and family who are looking to build and scale businesses. One of which has a fantastic offering on an e-commerce platform with some um, Caribbean food, treats, spices, everything. If you enjoy Caribbean food, um, we can drop that link later in the show. Um, uh, Moving on to our next slide, I want to be able to bring it up. It was the keys that we were talking about, the keys to success.
Mm.
And that would be a great segue for us. All right. So, keys to the strategy, we talked about, you know, niching your market, understanding what is it that you're selling and who is it that you're selling to. I'll go over the four keys and then I'll bring down the slide and we'll just jump into the conversation. So we talked about niche as being an important factor, having a quality product, but also having quality service. You can have a great product, but if your customers can't get a hold of you and can't get the support that they need or their questions answered, that's going to hurt and impact that like, know, and trust factor that we hear so often as being a vital piece to small business success, as well as effective marketing. We can post all day, and in fact, we can spend all our time, effort, and energy posting. But if we're doing it in the wrong places, in the wrong format, or even to the wrong audience, you, you have the risk, or you run the risk of losing your audience, sounding spammy. Like that, there's so many ways you can dissect the whole marketing discussion. And then finally, I'm gonna just periodic. Sorry, I'm gonna chat overlay is user friendly design. Oh my goodness, let me tell you, how often do businesses lose customers in their funnel and carts get abandoned because it's just so cumbersome to buy something? I can tell you, I don't have a PayPal account, and every time my only option is PayPal, I'm abandoning that cart. Um, anyway, I digress. I'm gonna hand it over to Zakia, and why don't you share with us your journey, your story, and your narrative of your strategy that brought your online store to where it is today.
For sure. So I really love this graphic that you have around the key strategies. That niche market and selection. Niche is something that bothered the bejesus out of me as I as I was getting started as a business owner. It's like everybody's my customer. Who doesn't need soap? But that is so important. And so I'll just tell you, my journey started with live streaming a hobby. I would live stream making my products. And I think the biggest lesson from that is I didn't wait until I had everything perfect. I shared my soap making journey. Um, and that included the live failures. Like they would watch me as I was sweating over their soap that they would be buying because it was seizing up and getting hard. My daughter at the time was maybe 2 or 3 years old, and the other one was 12. They were 10 years apart. So the 2-year-old would just be running by. And you know how you would try and have this perfect broadcast? She ended up having her own hashtag, where Sage, right? It was like she wasn't there,
That's awesome.
right? And so they would see what some would consider failures and be rooting for me anyway. They would see the wins when I got a large order from a hospital or something who wanted to order 15 loaves versus the one or two that I was selling. And what that ultimately built, I believe, was trust and loyalty that you cannot buy from just posting a picture or posting a caption of this is this amazing thing. And I think what really set the e-commerce store apart was I truly believed in community before commerce. I didn't realize it at the time. It was just what I was doing. Nothing that did started out as a business. Now, you may be starting as a business, but how can you wrap community around it before you even open the store? Because what ended up happening was for 6 months, I was just live streaming, and here's this batch that went really well, or this batch that didn't go so well. And so I was wondering what's going to happen with all of this soap. And it wasn't until a coworker asked me, "How can I buy your soap?" Where I had to figure out, number one, how to price it for it to be profitable. And number two, um, how am I going to package it? Because I was just making it, right? So there's so much when there's a physical product. And I shared that with my audience. And they said, "Well, wait a minute. You're going to sell it to her. We've been here all this time. How can we buy it?" So that was when the e-commerce part came up, and I tapped into the same thing, community, to figure out which platform worked best for what I was trying to do, user friendly. And that's when I stumbled on Shopify. That one seemed to be the easiest at the time, and they were set up for e-commerce, or maybe they just had amazing affiliate marketers in the live streaming ecosystem where that just appeared to be the best one. And I was able to launch my store, and we got 100 orders on the first day,
Wow.
which was absolutely incredible. And I think that whole community before commerce also allowed me to easily pivot between selling the products, selling the books where I was teaching the soap making, selling the online classes. So you can go between physical and digital products if you have a strong community and you're willing to share everything in that journey, good, bad, and ugly.
Mhm.
Well,
I'm sorry, Mirko.
go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, this came up in conversation earlier today with one of my clients, and she's a service-based business owner, but what you said really resonates with what we were talking about, and that's like the sharing your journey part. I think whether you sell products or a service, there's something special about sharing your journey and not trying to be perfect the whole way through. Just like sharing where you're struggling with, and I've kind of tried to take that on a little bit with sharing about like going from being camera shy to being able to stream. Like that was a process and it's not perfect all the time. And that's okay. I think that people get it. They get where you're coming from more and it does build some loyalty. So I like that part of your story.
Yeah. And what you're sharing there is you're not just selling products, you're selling the process,
Mhm.
right? It's not just, oh, hey, come buy this thing that I just made, but how are you all today? Where are you watching from? And genuinely being interested in what that answer is. And so yeah, 100%. And live streaming, we can talk about that too, because that's a whole other monster.
Hey, yeah. Immersing yourself with your community and your customer base, that is, let me tell you, that is just music to my ears, because that's where real genuine connections are made, and that is, I would say, our biggest marketing asset. You can post all you want, but there's nothing that beats a referral. It's like, you gotta try Zakia soap,
Yeah.
right? And you gotta try this product. And some people will say, well, I'm pretty picky. Like, I can't buy clothes to save my life online, because wherever it's tailored, an XL is different across across the globe. So I gotta feel comfortable trying it. I don't want to go through the process of shipping it, returning it, exchanging it. So everything but clothing, I'm willing to give a try, whether it's food, what have you. But going back to user-friendly design, listen, you said Shopify, and you know maybe we we're currently not sponsored by anyone, but if anyone's going to listen, uh, I'd be happy to support everyone that I hear uh, that uses that platform or their platform is has nothing but great things to say, and they have a great call to action and a great hook. They bring you in at what is it, a dollar for your first year, and then whatever percentage they take of your sales. But hey, that's a pretty attractive offer, and very low risk for anyone wanting to get into the game. But we know, and you would probably know, especially being immersed in it. You set up your shop, but what goes on behind the scenes to fulfill those orders? You know, yes, you got your niche figured out. You have your product. It's got great quality. It's bringing people back to reorder. Your marketing is effective, but what aren't people seeing?
Whoa. Well, pre-chat GPT to post-chat GPT, there's two different lives there, or a generative AI in general. So one, I don't want to make it as appear as you build it, they will come. That is the farthest thing from the truth. And again, getting back to that 4-hour work week, not the same, not true. Burn the book, understand the principles, but know that that does not apply in real life to people who don't inherit an audience of hundreds of thousands of people. That is not reality. But in terms of behind the scenes, I wouldn't actually recommend that people start with Shopify if they don't already have an audience. If you're selling a physical product, I would actually recommend that you start on something like Etsy. It's a much lower barrier to entry, and you can see if you can generate sales on a place like Etsy. You start there, you don't live there. And it's very simple to do. It just requires you to set up like a Stripe or a PayPal to be able to accept those payments, list your product with a picture, a name, and a description, and then what your shipping terms will be. That's what I would actually recommend for people. See if you can get a consistent number of orders that would pay the, well, beyond the trial. Shopify is $39 a month plus tax. So, are you making at least that so it's not an added expense? Sometimes people think, "Oh, I have the store," and but you have to pay that monthly expense for it. So, starting with Etsy is really something I would recommend for people that are selling a physical product. And for service based businesses, I would actually say start with something like WordPress, which can be a bear in and of its own, or Thinkific or Teachable. Do you want me to focus primarily on physical products?
Hey, you can focus on products of your choice,
Okay.
physical or service. If questions arise from our audience that are specific to one or the other, then we'll lean in to tailor and support our audience. But you're welcome to speak of any.
Okay.
I just like the fact that you said Etsy. You don't live there. You start there, but you don't live there.
No, because that's a
And
marketplace and you don't own that traffic.
that is a brilliant suggestion for anyone. Um, now, if you're not going to take this advice on Team Live, be sure to save this and watch it on Team Replay. And remember, those are going to be words to live by because you're going to learn and understand whether or not your product has any traction,
Yeah.
has a market. Because it's like content. You can write something with extreme passion and really feel, hey, this one's really going to take off. And you post it, it goes live, and it flatlines. It needs some kind of support to
Yeah.
just to stay alive.
For sure. And the interesting thing you asked about what goes on behind the scenes. After you actually get the system set up, it's all about driving that traffic and re-engaging with them after they visited your website. Very similar to in person. They say it takes 7 touches online, it takes about 15, which is why short form video is so good and social media posts are so good because it's driving people to your site. And so make sure you have a way to capture those emails. The biggest mistake I see people make is they think that social media is their platform. You don't own it. And at any point, Big Brother, insert platform name, can change the algorithm, yank your audience, or do any of those things. My biggest mistake, and I shared this with you, Americo, on another stream, is I didn't do anything with email marketing. If you weren't a customer, I never knew who you were. And Periscope taught me how important it is to capture emails. So on your website, And you don't get this on Etsy like a marketplace. So this is why we say you need to own your website, but you got to get some sales first. Periscope shut down and I had 75,000 followers on that platform. When they shut down, I only had about 2,000 email addresses, and that was only because they were the people who ordered
Or
from me. So I lost connection with all of those individuals who were on Periscope alone. So make sure that you are capturing those email addresses when people come in, and more so, even their phone numbers. Text message marketing is another great way. But with your e commerce store, you want to make sure that it's 1 to 2 clicks away. And you want to make sure that when you're live streaming or you're posting on social media or you're sending out a newsletter, you're sending people directly to what it is that you just shared. So if I did a broadcast on today we're doing the triple butter blend, you best believe my call to action was going right to that product page to buy that.
Mhm.
People get really confused on, oh, I want to have videos, I want to have pictures, and can I have it pop, flip, spin on its head? People are, and I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but people are very lazy and they get overwhelmed. And if I have too many decisions to make when I get to your website, oh, guess what? I just got a notification on Facebook that I should probably be looking at. I'm going to go off of your site 5 minutes later. I forgot that I was even there or what I was there for. So you got to make it super simple when they get there that they can get what they came for.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. I will never disagree with anyone who says that. Conversations that I have when it comes to refining that customer journey and that moment of truth, people, and we talked earlier about behind the scenes what happens. You know, for those who really follow analytics and love the data behind e-commerce, you see, and it's so disheartening to see how many people come into your site and how many people abandon the carts, and you may never know why, right? And you wrap your head around. All right, most people lean towards maybe it's not enough marketing, more content. It's like no, it's sometimes it's just about simplifying,
Yeah.
refine the process. You know, the easier you make it for your customers, the the, the easier they're going to want to spend that money.
Mhm.
And I can't say it enough. It is a vital piece that we mustn't forget.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then can I circle back to the email marketing part just a little bit?
Yes.
So I have experience on a couple platforms. I don't know Shopify, but you can probably answer this question for anyone in the audience who's curious about that. But I've used Wix and some other e-commerce platforms that have that built in. So you don't have to go pay for another email marketing platform. You can typically take anyone who's placed an order, and to help stay top of mind, they have email marketing built in where you can take that customer list and send them a new product that you've come out with or something like that, where it just makes it super simple. And that's kind of what I was talking about in round one when we were talking about how a lot of these platforms already have built in tools that are, intended to help you succeed.
Correct. They do. The only thing is, I would say that Shopify is an e-commerce platform first and not an email marketing platform. So you're not going to get the same thing that you would with like a MailChimp or a MailerLite that
Right.
has all of those automations. But your standard abandoned cart, order confirmation, those emails are there, but you're not going to get the automations without another tool that's specifically for the email marketing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And both of you, I'm sorry, both of you together have taught and opened my eyes, and I've gained some appreciation because Kendra knows very well where I stood a few months ago on email marketing, but I'm looking at it from a prospect or prospective customer's lens. Uh, I've yet to immerse myself in a email campaign that has caught my attention. Said, "Yeah, I want to learn more about that product or service."
Mhm.
It's usually delete, uh, flag as spam. It's like I haven't seen anyone raise enough awareness or do a good enough job creating awareness or raising awareness to make me want to click their hyperlink to bring me to their landing page and their offering.
Mhm.
So I was very reluctant, and I studied marketing, and I know marketing when I by the time I graduated has changed and evolved so much, and where we are today in this whole digital landscape. Uh, but I was always going against the grain. But the numbers don't lie. It
Yeah.
works, right? The numbers do not lie. So I got both of you. I got your Periscope story that opened my eyes, and I got Kendra who's also opened my eyes. So that's the other great thing about these live streams and these collaborations. Yeah, you got to take people's narratives, what they've learned, and what they're sharing with you, and kind of build it into your own story. We're speaking from experience. We're speaking from different perspectives, and you know what? I say it time and time again. If we ask 10 different top voices in any subject matter, the same question, we'll probably get 10 different answers and 10 different opinions on how to do something. So we're not
That's
here
true.
to say what's right and what's wrong, but we are here to suggest, hey, here's what to look out for. Make your own decision, but based on what we've lived and seen and the decisions we've made and the lessons that we've learned, here's what has worked for us. Here's what you got to look out for. And I'm so glad we brought you onto the show to have that discussion.
Yeah. Looks like Marcia has a question for you if you're open to it.
Oh, yeah.
She put in the chat, you have been intentional when putting your products and services out there. One of her friends, an influencer, um, was trying to push her brand recently and it flatlined. And then she asks if you have any suggestions on or other than social that you can give to a new entrepreneur.
Yeah, and she said the person used an influencer. She wasn't
Oh,
an
I'm sorry. I
influencer.
read that wrong.
So 2 things I'm gonna say about influencer marketing, extremely powerful if done right. The second thing is not everybody is an influencer. Numbers can be extremely deceiving on social media. Followers can be brought, or they may not have an engaged audience. Maybe they were just on the platform long enough to have 20, 30, 100,000 people. But before you ever engage with influencer marketing, do your own due diligence. When they post, does their audience actually respond? When they post, are you inclined to click on the links that they're willing to share? Influencer marketing can be extremely powerful if you have the right influencer. They speak to your niche audience, right? And I had a mentor once ask me the question of, if Facebook is free, why is Mark Zuckerberg a billionaire? The obvious answer is ads, but why are people willing to pay for those ads? It's the eyeballs. So the influencer that you are reaching out to needs to have the right eyeballs for what it is that you're selling. So that's the one piece of advice. Other than social media, I think what often gets lost is acting locally in our own community. Like, so going to your neighborhood, whatever your product is, mine is soap. So going to after school programs, libraries, um, hair salons, high schools for the teaching part of it, understanding my own local market. So another manager, when I worked at a hospital, he used to say, act locally, think globally. So who can you sell to locally with boots on the ground, the traditional way of going door to door and being successful that way, and then sharing it and showcasing that experience on social media. And then you might bring in an audience, but do not leave social media out of the picture. And
So
here's, can I just give one reason
yeah,
why for that?
absolutely.
The reason why I say don't leave it out of that is you may walk into a potential partner and the first thing they're going to do is look you up on social media. Have you actually posted anything that's relevant to what it is you're saying that you can sell them? So oftentimes it's not necessarily for those people that are actually following you, it's for those people that are going to do their research. They're going to Google your name, they're going to Google your website, and they're going to find you on their platform of choice.
The lurker we were talking about the other
Yeah,
day.
Right.
Yeah, those, we have a tendency of catering to our audience, but it's the lurkers that are more prone to buying, right? Because they're behind the scenes doing the research, they're learning, they're building trust, they're relying on you to deliver reasons on why you are credible, why you should be the business of choice for their
yeah.
product or service. Absolutely.
Can
And
I
if I
add
could,
something about lurkers?
yeah,
And you might notice this on your live streams. Do you get more live viewers or replay viewers?
it's right now it's a mix. We're only 7 episodes in for
Okay.
this one. The other shows starting to see live audience show up, but I'm getting more questions from the replay
Yeah.
and
Uh,
more DMs coming in. Hey, can we talk? I'd like to hear more.
yeah.
Or
The-
can I join your show? I think I can bring some value.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the reason for that is the people who watch on replay are more engaged and involved in what it is that you have to say. They're watching it for the duration, whereas live viewers, we might just be stumbling on their timeline and they're scrolling through. But those people who have decided to watch a replay have done so with intention. It wasn't just served up to them on the platform. They might have saw it, but if they got beyond that first 3 seconds, they're very engaged with it. I will tell you, most of my orders came from replay viewers on YouTube and Periscope.
Okay, let me ask you another question to piggyback because you might have a way to navigate around this. So to piggyback on your question, when I take a look at the replay numbers and they're growing incrementally, I have no way of knowing when someone reaches out to me unless I ask them, and I'm sure they're more than happy to answer. But I try to make that seamless and less about me and more about them. Uh, how do I, or is there a way to distinguish? Is this a replay from a repurposed piece of content? Is this like a 30-second clip that caught their
No.
attention, or is this the 60-minute episode that they got immersed in?
Yeah, that's gonna be a combination of 2 things. Your Google Analytics on your how are do you have a website that they're reaching out to you on, or is it all in DM?
It's I have a website, but most of my conversations come from DMs.
Yeah, that's gonna come from your LinkedIn Analytics then. I don't dig too much into those. I'm I can't give you a good answer for that. My initial response was going to be, look at your Google Analytics to see what URL they're coming from to land on your
Mhm.
website, but I'm not sure how that works on, direct messages within LinkedIn.
All right, then we'll reach out to LinkedIn and see if they have a solution for us or some correspondence that we can read on that. Thank you. I made a promise I wasn't going to put you on the spot, and
Okay.
not knowing the answer is still an answer. So thank you. But going back to the influencer, let me share a story. I used because someone had suggested, influencers going to get you in front of hundreds of thousands of people, and it's a small investment. And all right, I'm willing to give it a try. But you nailed it. You hit it on the head. Paying an influencer to broadcast your message to their audience, and I saw the analytics. I saw the spike, and that dopamine hit was awesome. It's like beautiful, and then it just fell off a cliff because the audience that they were broadcasting to, that I was paying for them to bring me to, had no interest in my service. So when you're picking, you talked about niching and making sure that you're collaborating and hiring an influencer that aligns with your market, aligns with your audience. To simply broadcast a message, yes, you're going to get that dopamine hit, but it's an expensive dopamine hit because
Yeah.
it is very short lived. People will. I had views through the roof, but I can't take views to the bank and pay my bills with views.
Vanity metrics. As a business owner, they mean nothing.
So, it's yeah, choose influence marketing strategies wisely because they don't work for all businesses, all products. Proceed with caution. I hope I didn't step on any influencer uh, lovers who really advocate for them.
No, I think they have their place. I don't think
Yes.
you stepped on
Yeah.
them,
All right.
Americo. Yep,
Mhm.
All right. Great conversation. I'm going to jump into the next slide. And how are we doing for time? We're 40 minutes. All right.
Yep, we still have
Fantastic.
plenty of time.
Here's what I want. All right. Now let's talk a little bit about consistency. We're all filled with advice on what works and what works for us, but how important is it to be consistent? You know, it's once you turn it on and once you got the orders coming and your orders are being fulfilled and they're being shipped and feels like there isn't a snag, it doesn't seem like you need to refine anything. How many people make the mistake of just walking away and kind of getting alarmed when something falls off the rails?
Well, is the question about with your e-commerce, something falling off the rails? Because
Yeah,
when I think of consistency, my mind always goes to digital marketing, and she was talking about vanity metrics, and I think consistency is so much more important for bringing in those sales than the vanity metrics are. But I will let her answer about, the e-commerce itself and consistency.
for sure. And I think Kendra, you and I are probably hitting this the same way. For me, consistency is trust, right? I am a 100% online. All four of my brands are online businesses. And every interaction that I have with people is putting another bank or another deposit into that bank of trust. And
Yes.
so, whether it's posting, shipping orders, responding to messages, customer service requests, hey, my order didn't come, launching a new class, I've learned that showing up regularly helps to build that credibility. And I'm not going to say that I am going to say the most overused phrase in marketing: people buy and refer from those they know, like, and trust. And that is built through consistency for sure. And the way I measure it is I track it with very simple systems. So I have weekly content goals, two live streams a month, two live streams a week, three podcasts a week. Um, Order turnaround times. My audience knows that I only ship on Saturday and Sunday. I have made a very clear distinction on my website. Hey, we're not Amazon. You will not have this in 24 hours, and it's probably not going to get there on a Sunday. But that allows them to join me for soap shipping Saturday. They're watching me pack their orders, and then they do their unboxing live, right? So there's a whole symbiotic relationship on the soap side, the live soap school side, and even the business tech lab side. So it's really the foundation for being trustworthy online, I believe.
I love that, the unboxing. So so you have customers, or did I just misunderstand? You have customers that join you live
No, they go
and
live.
they go live
They go
and
live and say, "Remember when Zakia made the guitar soap? I just got mine, and she put my name on it. Does your soap maker know that you like guitars and blah blah blah?" And it was a whole thing. But there's several. They'll do that and they'll send them to me or they'll tag me in it.
so it's almost like you get a UGC marketing strategy that's built into your sales life cycle.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like community, right? You've talked about building the community. If the community is that interested that they're going to be excited when they watch you pack their order and they know that it's on their way to them
Yeah.
and then they get it on the receiving end, they're still so excited that they post the unboxing. Like, I don't think you could have better marketing than that.
And I like the transparency. You're not Amazon. You're not getting this tomorrow before 9 a.m. It's not going to be on an express flight across the continent,
No.
but your orders are still coming in because people like, know, and trust your products. And maybe spend a little bit of time on products because this white pasty skin needs a lot of maintenance in the winter, Canadian winter conditions. Uh, I need to lean towards hyperallergenic, unscented products. Uh, in terms of choice, I'm moving away from consistency, but in terms of choice and really understanding your audience, how diverse are you? Because I guess the segue I want to create is if you can't be all things to all people,
No.
right? And just because someone says, hey, you know what, I have a skin sensitivity issue, can you make uh, unscented soap for me? Like, if that's not your cup of tea, then you got to come on and say that's
Americo, I should have paid you for this interview. My number one soap is Triple Butter Blend. It's an unscented, uncolored soap. It is our number one seller. It is made with cocoa butter, mango butter, shea butter, and olive oil, and a few other ingredients.
sounds
But
edible.
people, it is, except for the sodium hydroxide. You can't. The lye is in there, so you can't. Well, it's not in there, but we use it to make it. But long story short, um, I have my primary audience are those that want natural ingredients. They are very conscious about what they're buying, what they're using. They understand that skin is the largest organ on our body, and everything that we put on our skin goes into our skin, which is why I'm very transparent about the ingredients that I use as well. And so for you, because you had me on this interview, if you send me your address, I'm going to be sending you some triple butter blend as well as our summer lotion because the weather is changing. But I want you to try that and let me know what you think.
Awesome. I will graciously accept your offer, and in return,
You'll do an
I
unboxing?
I'm gonna do an unboxing.
That's awesome.
All
It
right,
sounds like a great exchange.
Yes.
fantastic. Uh, I know that none of this would have happened if I had kept myself as a keyboard warrior. I love these conversations. They're immersive, interactive, and I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to bring you on.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna have to look for more guests because
Mhm.
you can only hear and listen to so much of Americo. And and Kendra, you
Right.
have a beautiful voice. People will love. You don't see me going on video that often, not because um, I'm reluctant to it. I'm just trying to find enough time. I may have bit off more than I can chew. I love the 4 live streams that I do, but now it's about finding balance and repurposing and finding ways to make use of these live streams opposed to creating separate short videos. And my friend here, Zakia, is has nailed it down.
I don't know
Yeah.
about nailed it. I'm always
Well,
figuring it out.
when I'm comparing to where I am in my journey, girl, if you said nothing, uh, you, you would have been, I guess, so much or further ahead than I am, and I applaud you. I keep learning from individuals like yourself. Like last week when we were on Keith's show, and the
Yeah.
moment we came off, like you spun off a newsletter or an article on that very same topic. It's like, wow, that is brilliant. That is genius. And you know what? I'm learning, and there's no shame in saying that these are great ideas and giving kudos to those who have inspired you to take on those ideas. So you even touch on it, and I know we kind of move the conversation along. But when you were talking about your e-commerce platform, it's a lot of similarity went into how you broke down your business to how you break down your content strategy and how you repurpose. Everything seems to be falling in place. But here's the question: this didn't happen overnight, and I
No.
don't want people to feel discouraged. This isn't a turnkey. You're in it for the long play, and don't be discouraged when things aren't working. Be prepared to pivot, take those learnings, and continue to grow and progress and move towards the direction that you expect yourself to be. And if you know what, if you give yourself a 12-month time frame, and at that year mark, you don't feel like you're where you want to be, don't give up. Right, because it could be a 2-year plan. Just know, celebrate progression and celebrate those small milestones. We're here, and I'm sharing my success stories. And some people might look and listen to my stuff, it's like, Mirko, you have no idea what you're talking about. You still have years to catch up to where your full potential is, and I understand that, right? I pivoted not too long ago from a corporate lifestyle. So that's whole solopreneur and entrepreneur journey for me is relatively new, but let me tell you, I'm having a blast learning. And when I hear people saying wearing multiple hats, it wasn't until the last couple of years that I really learned, oh wow, that's what they mean by multiple hats.
Every one of them. Yep. And
Right.
I do want to say, I think people need to find out what kind, because when we say content and consistency, everybody doesn't have to be on video or audio, but you got to pick one. So, do you want to write? Do you want to show up on video? Do you want to show up on audio? Do you just want to take pictures of your products? And then master doing it that way, because then you get to use that same skill as your products expand from a physical product to a book, maybe that you want to publish. And the consistency that we were talking about a little bit earlier, you got to embrace technology. The way I was able to spin up that article, AI, right? You upload a transcript and instantly it knows my voice. So it sounds like Zakia wrote it, but it's taking the content that we gave it in order to spin up an article on those 5 key points. And I know a lot of people are digging their heads in the sand about, oh, I'm not using AI. I'm just too creative for that. It could never stand the test of my brain, whatever. So you'll be doing that for 16 months, and in 2 minutes somebody else is going to create the content. So, leveraging technology is what's going to enable people to maintain consistency without burning out. Because burnout is huge for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs when you are trying to wear all of the hats. So, really knowing who you are, what it is that you want to share, what you sell, why you sell it, and who you're selling it to, answer those questions, and then leverage the heck out of tech so that you can show up consistently with any form of content that you want.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I do marketing for a lot of different businesses, and sometimes, like, I have ideas just like nonstop in my head, and some days I'm like, okay, AI, I'm going to need some help today,
Yep.
and it gets me started. I always end up changing it and tweaking it and making it the way that the client wants it, joined with my ideas. But sometimes that initial process gets started with the help of AI. So
Yeah.
that's a great point because entrepreneurs can definitely lean pretty heavily into that.
Yeah, and it's a shame that a lot of people think that it's here to overtake overtake the world. These are tools no different, eh, probably a couple of months now, but I posted something and I used the crock pot as part of my analogy. The crock pot was introduced in the 70s. It didn't replace anyone in the kitchen, right? And similar with came from the financial services industry, telephone banking. Everyone was up in arms. We're going to lose our jobs. They're going to close down branches. Now we have online banking. You got branches you can walk into. You have telephone banking. These are just different ways and more choices that we're giving to customers
Yep.
to engage, to interact, to buy, to research. You know, let's not shy away from AI. You know, is AI costing jobs in some sectors? Perhaps we're not. Let's not deny it, but you gotta adopt and adapt to a changing environment. No different than we have up until now. Listen, if I go into my dad's basement, I'm pretty sure I'll not only find vinyls, but I'll find 8-track cassettes and nowhere to play them. Right? So
Can I just mention that we use a crock pot to make soap? That's how we make hot process soap, with a crock pot.
is it?
So, yeah, we'll get into soap making on another stream, but yeah.
Uh, that's awesome. Listen, it's oh, we got some comments. The crock pot analogy, so true. Thank you. Um, it's sometimes you just need to create a narrative and create that image in someone's head to help them realize, you know what, maybe it's not going to be that bad. Maybe I should kind of ease up or ease into it and make use of it. Because if you dig your heels, doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you dig your heels and you don't leverage AI as a tool, you are going to be left behind. Whether it is making soap and broadcasting and pumping out content and so forth, whether it's marketing for a physical product or service, or just customer journey refinement. We are going to find ways to use and leverage the technology because it's the right thing to do. It's there to help us. Anyway, we're at the top of the hour. We have a few minutes left. I want to give everyone an opportunity to share how our listeners can get in touch with you. So let's bring us back to the QRs. Zakia, your QR code is is set, and anyone who scans it will go to your LinkedIn page. Um, let's move it around so it's not covering your face. There we are. So why don't you share, if you have a website, share with our audience how we can reach you, how we can reach your products, and so let's just leave it at that.
Sure. So I have two websites that I want to share. Natural Soap by Zakia, very easy to remember. It's the soap making website. But then I also run Business Tech Lab. So over the last 10 years, I figured out the systems for email, social media, setting up an online store, live streaming, podcasting, and self publishing. So Business Tech Lab is where I share in blogs and podcasts Business Tech Unraveled. And so you don't have to go alone. I am here to help you. So be sure to visit me over at Business Tech Lab. And if you go to my LinkedIn profile, we have a free monthly community call. I don't think technology should be a barrier for anyone in the world. And so if you join us on those calls, we answer your questions and we dig into the latest tech for small business owners.
Look at, and that's exactly what I was referring to earlier. How you took your soap making and repurposed it and created a separate entity for not only just the product, but how to publish right. Like it's so diverse. Your value proposition to not only running a physical e-commerce business, but to run and support customers who are interested in e-commerce and bring the tech side of it together. That is great. Thank you so much, Kendra. Got a QR code for you as well.
Oh, that is cool. I think this is the first time we've done this, so
This
thank
is
you.
the first time we've done this.
I love seeing that, something new. So, yeah, you can find me at boomtagmedia.com. Of course, LinkedIn, I'm Kendra Noel. And then Instagram and YouTube, it's just Boomtag Media. I love what Zakia has done. I don't have anything quite as in depth teaching wise and stuff, but I'm working on some courses and a podcast coming out soon. So I'm going to have to check out your community as well, Zakia.
Come on over.
Fantastic. And myself, uh, I am the founder, or I hate calling myself a founder because I like operating on a flat, non-linear. I don't like putting myself on a pedestal. I am a customer experience strategist and personal brand strategist. I help professionals refine their personal brand as well as their customer journeys, and trying to make each interaction, each touch point a delight so that people can like, know, and trust you, but more importantly, buy more, sell more, and retain more. So that is my jam. It has been a pleasure. We are at the top of the hour. And once again, we continue this record that I hope never gets broken. There's always this fear of running out of things to talk about, and we've always filled the hour. In fact, Zakia and I, we know if you're not following our friend Keith Keller, he can run a show for 3 4 hours and never run out of things to talk about. So if if you ever want some professional advice on audio rooms and how to host them, listen, he's a great person to follow. Uh, all right. So, top of the hour, I want to thank each and every one of our Team Live listeners for joining us. And for anyone listening to us on replay or listening to the sound bites as they come out, I want to thank everyone for participating, engaging, and being part of this experience. For now, I want to bid a great rest of your day and thank you for joining us on the strategy session.